This video is sponsored by Noragon, the commercial vehicle data experts. Visit noragon.com to learn more.
Welcome back to Fleet Equipment. Thanks for joining us here. I'm Kevin Linger, managing editor and producer, and we're almost ready for another episode of On the Road, except I can't seem to find my pen. Luckily, I've got some help with that. This is our little electric forklift driven by Forklift Fred, maybe Tow Motor Ted. You can tell us what you think his name should be in the comments. But the important thing here is that this little guy charges off of USB-C, which is a luxury that most, I'm gonna say all, commercial electric vehicles don't have. So fleet electrification doesn't appear to be slowing down. Thank you, I'll take that. In fact, Class 3 to 8 registrations are up 274% year over year, but infrastructure isn't able to keep up with that. Now fleets are left bolting to figure out how to charge their new commercial EVs. So what challenges are fleets facing, and how can smart charging strategies spark the difference between doing a job and downtime? Stick around, we're talking with an expert from ChargePoint to find out. Thanks. We want to welcome in Natalie Roe, Senior Director of Fleet North America for ChargePoint. And Natalie, we're interested in learning about Class 3 to 8 EV registrations. Specifically, year over year, they're up quite a bit, 274%. What does ChargePoint see as the biggest infrastructure challenge for fleets as they scale adoption at this rate?
That's a great question. When we're talking to our fleet customers, we're actually starting to plan at the very beginning so these don't become issues as they scale. Working hand in hand with the utility companies, going with them with an actual plan of what we're going to do and how we're going to do it, and giving them an idea of what the power needs will be starting today and going forward, and helping that and letting them look at the plan and saying, okay, well, we don't have enough power, so you're going to need to upgrade your site, and giving them all the costs that are associated with that. So as they strategically work on this and they scale, they know what the expenses are along the way. And if they don't have the necessary power on site, our charge management system lets them power manage what they have so that they can continue to utilize it and have their fleet become electrified. But we use the charge management system to make sure that they're not overusing the power, and they also have enough power to make sure that their vehicles are ready to go out when they need to go out.
In addition to the growing needs of the number of vehicles that need charged, you've also noted that charging sessions are growing faster than infrastructure. So how's ChargePoint addressing this imbalance to help keep fleets running smoothly?
So when you're talking to a customer, they have a dashboard in the CMS so they can see the utilization in each charger, so they can easily plan when to add the next charger to make sure that they have the necessary charging ports at the facility and make sure that they can charge when they need to. And sometimes it's really just making sure that you unplug when you need to and not have vehicles just sitting there waiting for you, like they're not charging, so they're wasting a space, so there could be affecting your uptime. So helping them manage, okay, this one's done, it needs to get moved, or daisy chaining it so it starts here and works its way down to make sure that they're being charged. But the software helps them manage that and shows them when to grow.
Speaking of uptime, fleets are really focused on total cost of ownership, as they should be. So how does charger management software help optimize uptime and balance operating and capital expenses?
I would say that the ChargePoint management system, or the charging management system, is a big piece of the puzzle for total cost of ownership, because it does help you manage when you charge, how you charge. It can help you do peak shave. It can help you manage so you're not charging at peak times and having additional expense. And then, like I said a couple minutes ago, it can help you daisy chain assignment. It helps you determine when you should charge and how you should charge. But you also have to look at a couple other components when you're talking about the cost of ownership, because there are things that can mitigate any additional cost you might have there. So cost of vehicle, well, we know that they're not at parity just yet. It is getting better, and as battery technology improves, that the parity will be there. So you can compare the cost of the vehicles. You can compare you should compare what it costs per gallon to fill up your tank now, whether it's gas or diesel, and cost of electricity. There are parts of the United States where electricity is as low as 8 cents a kilowatt. So that is a major component that helps mitigate cost and expense. You also need to look at what kind of funding is available. While I know the federal funding has definitely slowed a bit recently, there's still in certain parts of the country state and local funding available, and everybody that's doing these projects should look into that and take advantage of those funds. They're there for a reason and they should use them. So looking at a full picture to make sure and understand what you're getting into and where you can save money. And the last one would be maintenance. An EV has less parts, so it requires less maintenance. Where if you have a diesel truck and it goes down, it could take weeks to rebuild an engine, and it takes a lot of people to that. So your operating expenses and maintenance tend to be a lot lower for an EV than they do for a traditional ICE vehicle.
Managing cost is a huge part of the equation, whether you're getting into EVs for their instant torque or for emissions regulations. The most important factor, though, is making sure that that truck is ready to go when you need it. Because if it can't do its job, it's no good to you. So what insight can ChargePoint software provide to ensure vehicles are charged and ready when duty cycles demand them?
So we have our CMS allows for you to determine if a vehicle's state of charge is ready to go out for its predicted route. And the great thing about a lot of fleets that we work with today, they have predictable routes. So you can input this information into the CMS and it'll show you what it needs to charge to. That doesn't necessarily mean it's charging to 100%. It may only need to get to 80% to do what it needs to do. And it also may come back at 60%. So you don't need to charge that vehicle as much. But the great part about this system is because uptime is so important to a fleet operator, it'll also tell you if it's not plugged in, if there's something wrong, or it's just not going to get to the state of charge it needs to before it needs to go out, so that you get an alert on your phone and you get an email. So as an operator, you can work with the vehicles that you have to adjust the scheduling if that happens. The other things that you can do is we offer programs like Assure and Assure Pro, because we understand uptime is so important to a customer that you have 24/7 monitoring, and you also have quicker deployment of parts and quicker deployment of labor so that you can get things fixed faster. So we do what we understand that if you're not moving your fleet, then you're not making any money. So our job is to help that ease the stress of making that happen, and working with you with our software and with our teams to make sure you have what you need to get done what you need.
So planning charging strategies for what you have now. A lot of fleets, though, that are adopting EVs are looking ahead. In the next 5-10 years, they might be planning to expand as technology improves. How can fleets plan those charging strategies for continued EV adoption growth in the medium and heavy duty space as time goes on?
Talking to an expert makes this a little bit easier. Actually, it makes it a lot easier, because no matter what research you do, it's always nice to have somebody there to help you walk the path that you're doing. Remember that this is a crawl, not run. You have to crawl and walk before you can run, and you have to take it step by step. You definitely want to make a plan. But with ChargePoint, our product is modular, not only modular, but it's scalable. So if you start today and you set your infrastructure up to scale, you can start with 2 chargers. In the next 2 years, you're adding 3 trucks. So you need an additional 1 to 2 chargers, depending what the battery capacity is and what you need. And then you kind of start to make a plan of, okay, in year 1, we want to have 2 trucks, and we start to talk about what the plan is. And then we help them build a plan around that, from working with utility and making sure they have the product on the ground to do what they need to do. So it's really about communicating with everybody and making sure that they understand what they need to get where they need to go, and helping them, like we talked about, mitigate costs and expenses, because you want them to do it and want to do it, and it needs to be fiscally responsible.
Yeah, you mentioned at the beginning of the interview that you need to talk to your utility company. You trust them because they are experts in this. So don't assume that it's something you have to do all on your own. There are companies like ChargePoint that can help, and there's reasons you should go to someone who knows these things.
I completely agree. Your utility company should be your best friend in a lot of these instances because, if you have to wait for switchgear or you just need an upgrade in general, being able to have someone to call and ask questions and help them understand what you need is critical to this whole experience.
All right, Natalie Roe, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate you stopping by.
Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
And thank you to all our Fleet Equipment subscribers for watching. We'll see you next time here on the Road.